bad anticipation of future economic conditions. We need to have a pension system for the private sector and the government sector that is not based upon empty future promises that somebody else is going to have to bail out. Instead, our pension and saving system should focus on saving for each and every one's individual retirement. A 401k plan, an individual retirement account, personal accounts in Social Security, I think is an idea worth looking at. I think that people should save for their own retirement, and most people today, unfortunately, are not doing that.
So what should happen is, instead of these pension plans, each person should be given an individual account.
Or many, 2 or 3 individual accounts. You can have one with your employer. You can also have an individual retirement account. And everybody, starting as young as possible, should save as much as possible in these individual accounts. One thing an employer could do that would be very generous would be to actually give the employee a bonus each year that would go into their retirement account and be held in the retirement account until the person reached age 60 or 65. That would help people to face their senior years much more easily without depending upon a promise, an empty promise of a pension in the future.
So something really needs to change, otherwise we're going to have literally old people that are elderly out on the street.
That's correct.
The old proverbial old people living off of dog food.
Most people don't think about retirement until they're within about 5 years of retirement. That's one of the problems, because young people don't think about the problem. Young people oftentimes don't save for their own future. The younger you start to save, the more wealthy your future will be, because you have compound interest that'll help to boost your savings. But many people don't even begin to save for their retirement until they're in their 40s or 50s, and that's too late. And so more people have looked forward to these empty promises, and now they're going to be facing some very, very unpleasant news.
But so many people don't think about their future. I mean, people just don't. There's going to be a certain percent of the population, even if we say, we're going to pay you into this pension plan. Okay, we're going to pay you in pension. We're going to put some of your money into this individual account for you, for your retirement as an employer, and this is part of your union contract. There's still going to be people that want out of it. There's still going to be people that just aren't going to plan, aren't going to save. What about those people?
Well, this is the problem, Mark. With these empty promises, people believe they're being taken care of, and that's why they don't save. That's why they don't think about it. Somebody told them, we will give you a pension, we will give you a retirement, we will give you Social Security, and because you feel like you've been taken care of, you don't worry about it, and therefore you don't think about it, and that's the mistake. We should stop making empty promises to people and encourage people to face their future and to think about what they're going to do to save for retirement.
Now, you made a good point there about Social Security. Social Security is a pension plan.
It's a classical, old-fashioned pension plan. It was designed in the 1930s. It was built around a population assumption that there would always be lots of new babies to pay the pensions for the old folks, and that the old folks would die.
Right, they wouldn't live that long.
They would die before age 65.
Right.
But now, your average elder person lives to be 75, 85, even 90 years old. And there are fewer and fewer babies being born, and so the tax burden cannot be sustained.
So Social Security was never supposed to be what it is now, because basically if it was, I guess the average, what is the average lifespan now? Is 80 something?
Into the 80s, yes.
Into the 80s. And
women live longer than men.
Then, you're lucky. When they made Social Security, the average age, I think, was even before 65. The average age was, I think, 63 that people
Men used to die back in the 1930s and earlier. Everybody used to die at a younger age. We didn't have the miracles of modern medicine.
Right.
And so men back in the 1930s would live to be about age 63.
Right.
They'd pay their Social Security tax all their life, and they would die and not get a pension. And their wives would live on for another 5 or 6 years, and they would get a spouse pension.
Right, but now we have men and women working, and we have people living into their 80s. So
right.
This thing that we created then was never even conceived to be what it is now.
Right. That's correct. The idea of saving for your future was something that was formerly available back in the 1930s only for rich people. Poor people could never save. One reason why people used to have much larger families is because having a lot of grandchildren was your only guarantee to have food on the table when you're old and retired. But the changes that came in the 20th century with greater wealth, greater productivity, changed the nature of the American family from a family with 5 or 10 children to a family with only 1 or 2 children, and that has made all the difference.
So we've talked about, some of these things that are happening with Social Security and some of these ways, the Social Security was designed not to be what it is now. It's because of the changing demographics in the population. There are also more old people now and not as many babies being born. So is that mirrored in some of these private pension plans we were talking about earlier and government pension plans that
It's not so much in the private pension plans. The government pension plan, yes. The government pension plans have promised very, very generous pensions. Now, government employment has kept on increasing. With these government pension plans, most of the pension contribution is made by the government employer. The money is not very much taken out of the paycheck. With the private sector pension plans, the big mistake was made in believing the company would always be the top of the industry. United Airlines used to be one of the top 2 airlines in the world. Today it's about 12th or 13th, and it's more recent airlines that are more efficient that have come along and taken away the traffic. So General Motors, United Airlines, the old line steel companies, they were simply badly managed. They didn't see what the future was bringing, and they didn't keep up. They stayed stuck.
And they committed fraud. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for coming out to the show today. If anyone else out there would like any more information about the Libertarian Party, where can they go, Angela?
They can go to lp.org.
lp.org, www.lp.org, or you can give us a call at 1-800-ELECT-US. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.